From the farthest corner of a distant galaxy and the deepest feelings of the human soul comes a fantasy to fill your heart.
I feel tremendous. I'm ready to take on the world. Ow! Ow!
It is everything you've dreamed of. It is nothing you expect.
Oh, I can keep a secret. I wouldn't tell anybody.
It's hard to know who to trust.
It is the mystery of an awesome secret. It is the miracle of everlasting life.
We'll never be sick. We won't get any older, and we won't ever die.
Beyond the innocence of youth and the wisdom of age lies the wonder of Cocoon. 20th Century Fox presents the new film from the producers of Jaws and the director of Splash. Cocoon.
Welcome to a new episode of the Movie Dawgs Show. We're still in the 80s, traveling in a DeLorean. Well, folks, we're going to talk about the Ron Howard classic, Cocoon. I'm going to have to say this is one of Ron Howard's best films. It just came off from the success of Splash. The Movie Dawgs Show. We are the 80s. This episode, we'll be talking about Cocoon. This is just a very simple little story of you're never too old to live life, and this also proved that you're never too old to lead a movie. The cast were amazing actors of the time. Wolfram Brindley, Don Amici, who won an Oscar for this role, Hugh Croman, the legendary Jessica Tandy, who was his real-life wife, Hugh Croman's real-life wife. And then you had Steve Guttenberg, who was just about in every film from 1984 to, I think, 1989. Him and Gene Hackman are tied for the most movies, I think, in a number of years. Brian Dennehy, legendary actor Brian Dennehy. He was wonderful in any movie he's ever been in. The film itself is about these alien who had to abandon this outpost they had on Atlantis because Atlantis was sinking, and they had to take so many people, and they had to leave people behind, and those aliens had to live in a cocoon underwater. So 10,000 years later, they come back to retrieve them, and they get the help of Steve Guttenberg, who doesn't know that they're aliens, and charters his boat so they can go deep sea diving and pick these cocoons up from the ocean depths. Well, this was one of those movies that, just showed, eternal youth and the sadness of how some people are growing old, and that it's a daunting task, and it can be depressing from time to time. The aliens rent this little pool house out that's nearby the retirement community where the gentlemen are sneaking over to from that's next door to them, and they're in there to swim in the pool, and then they notice the cocoons in there. They decide to ignore it, and then the cocoons are giving off this life force that were making the gentleman feel young at heart. And I have to say, when it came time for them to start feeling young at heart, it was really a treat to watch, these older gentlemen, jumping off the diving board and just having a grand old time, which looked like they were doing. Oddly enough, Wolfram Brindley was the youngest out of all of them. He was 25 years. He was turning 50 during production. And Wolfram Brindley always looked like an old man. And I don't know, I won't complain. I'm 46, and I'm not going to complain about looking old because I know I don't look that old. So, but it's just a wonderful film, just an absolutely wonderful film. There was just so many wonderful moments in this film, and it's especially when they started feeling young again, and then they all decided, well, it's time to take the wife off guard. And of course, the gentlemen, they have the romantic nights with the ladies, and the ladies were very unexpected by it. And then there was a very wonderful, tasteful scene the following morning where the ladies are sitting having breakfast and just talking away about how wonderful life is, and they're just glowing. And one of their friends, whose husbands choose not to go, kind of sit there and kind of looking at the ladies. And sadly, this woman, they never mentioned it, but she has dementia. But she kind of realizes these ladies have gotten some, and I haven't. And it was just a sweet little moment. I mean, when you get to see the film, you have to check out that one particular scene. As I said, it was done very tasteful, and it was just a wonderful scene. Now, the film itself was filmed down in St. Pete, and it was one of the earlier films that I can remember being filmed here in Florida. And it was kind of a big deal. Ron Howard wasn't originally the choice to direct this film. It was actually going to be Robert Zemeckis. And oddly enough, because of the films he had done prior, Used Cars, I Want to Hold Your Hand, were not big money makers. And so the studio insisted on somebody else. And, Robert Zemeckis ended up directing Romancing the Stone, so it turned out great for him anyway, because that was a big hit for 20th Century Fox. And as we all know, Robert Zemeckis went on to direct the Back to the Future trilogy and many more great films like Forrest Gump. But Ron Howard, I think, really was able to capture, because he was an actor. We all knew he was a child star from the Andy Griffith Show, and of course he left Happy Days to pursue a film career in directing. And he had directed some great films, Night Shift before, and of course, Splash with Tom Hanks. He just was able to work with the actors, and I'm sure a lot of them he knew, because his father, who plays the police detective towards the end of the film, it was an actor as well. So it was all. It was in his family. Of course, there's a small scenes where his brother Clint Howard, who ends up showing up in every one of his films, shows up in this movie as well. And so does the character Nova, who was in she plays one of the daughters of the Wolf and Brindley's daughter in the film. She was actually married to one of the producers, so I guess that's why she got the film part. But I have to say, though, again, with Ron Howard, he was really able to capture the heart and soul. And the film, even though the special effects are kind of dated, it did not drive the movie. The acting really drove this film, and it was so good acting, so much. And it was a spoil of riches when it came to, I'm sure, for Ron Howard. Now, one of the most dramatic scenes of the whole film kind of spurred from, when the other elderly people in the retirement community realized that pool is the fountain of youth. And so they all rush over there, and even though the three lead elderly men tried to stop them, they all jumped in the water and, sucking up the life support. And they took one of the cocoons out and was, trying to crash it down, or trying to crack it open. And of course, Brian Dennehy's characters, yelling to tell him to leave it alone, put it down. They crack it open, and sadly, one of the aliens in there dies. Brian Dennehy's character starts tearing, sheds a tear, and his people don't really understand that or understand pain. But the more that they're around on that planet, the more, I guess, emotion becomes a common thing in their psyche. But he understands, when it comes to pain and suffering. Now, the scene I'm about to talk about was a very dramatic one. It's where Bernie, the character who was the one that was always negative, his wife who had dementia or Alzheimer's, passes away, and he tries to take her to the pool, trying to revive her, bring her back to life, and he's holding her in the pool, and it was a very, very dramatic scene. Brian Dennehy's character comes into the pool, comes towards him and tells him that the life force is gone. There's nothing you can do. And, first you're aggravated with Bernie because, he should have taken her there, but then you sympathize with him and feel sorry for him. And it's very dramatic. I'm surprised that he didn't get an Oscar nomination for this role as well. I'm not sure if he did or not, but he was such a great actor. Now, one person you're going to hear about a lot on this channel is the composer James Horner, who did the music for this film. And just like Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan, just a few years before, he really knocked it out of the ballpark when it came to the music for this film. The music is just absolutely wonderful, and it's got a charm, and it's got like an epic type of feel to it all at once. And it gives you that feel of science fiction, but at the same time, the film doesn't feel like a complete science fiction film, if you understand what I'm saying. But he would go on, of course, be an Academy Award-winning composer for the film Titanic and many other James Cameron films. Thereafter, the Avatar films, and of course, he sadly passed away several years ago. And you'll still hear his music because he did all the music for the Avatar sequel, so he'll live on forever in music. Now, I mentioned Steve Guttenberg being in this. He didn't have the biggest part. He wasn't the big star on this film, but of course, he was the it guy for a few years in the 1980s, due to the Police Academy films. But he and the female alien, who looks very beautiful, in her human outfit, kind of strike up a romance, and he shows her how it is to be human, and she, in a very tasteful scene, again, very tasteful, she shows him how her people, make love or share one another. So, it's a very tasteful scene, and, it's very charming and funny at the same time. But now, Wolfram Brindley's character goes up to Brian Dennehy and apologized for what happened when it came to the fiasco at the pool. And there was a scene where it was simple. He says, listen, you were supposed to bring your friends back. How about you bring my friends back? And Brian Dennehy thinks about it, and he goes, okay. They agree. So they all agree to take the cocoons back out to the ocean where they'll be safe and they can regenerate. And then they make a plan to take the entire retirement community back with them. Now, the character Bernie decides to stay back, stating that this is his home, Earth is his home, and he doesn't want to go without, his wife not being there. So he's left behind, and they dart off into the Gulf of Mexico. And of course, the mother, of Wolfram Brindley's daughter, the mother forces the information out of her son, not by force though, and she runs to the nursing home or the retirement community and gets the attention brought to the staff members, and they are running all over the place, realizing there's nobody there, and everybody's gotten on the boat. The police shows up, and the little boy David realizes that his grandfather's on that boat, so he runs towards the boat and jumps onto it and everything. And, of course, everybody's chasing after him. The Coast Guard, the police are chasing after the boat. And then, the little boy jumps off as a distraction when he realizes that, they're going to stop him. So the distraction works, and David, after jumping in the water, kind of, for the time being, diverts everybody to save him. And the boat gets out there further. And then the ship from the DeLorean ship comes in and just starts this large cloud cluster and fog, and it starts rolling in to, hide the ship so they can escape. And then, of course, Steve Guttenberg's character Jack, as he's ready to depart, he says his goodbyes to Kitty, who's the female alien, and of course he jumps out of the water, or jumps off the boat into his little life raft, and he looks up, and Kitty's looking down at him, and then another sweet little moment, and a really great scene that Ron Howard and the director of photography devised up. And of course, the ship, the boat, is lifted up into the mothership. And the ship is, takes off. And of course, there's no trace of the boat at all, and they're considered lost at sea. And then there's the next thing. There's a funeral on the beach, because they're considered lost at sea. And the little boy, David, he looks up at the sky and starts to smile. And then you see this scene in space, the ship flying off into the galaxy where the Andorians live. And it's a very beautiful shot, done very well with the spaceship going into this other galaxy. And very well done. The visual effects ended up earning an Academy Award as well, next to Don Amici's Best Supporting Actor Award. But again, this film is absolutely amazing. I highly recommend it. Guys, look it up. Find it in a way you can, physical or digital. It's a wonderful film, and it's just absolutely well acted. A few years later, they made a sequel. Wasn't as good, but it was okay. I don't think this movie really needed a sequel, but again, this is the 1980s, and it was the decade of sequelization like crazy. Make a little bit money, let's make another one. So, but again, folks, I hope you enjoyed this film, and try it out. Let me know down in the comment section down below. Also, folks, be sure to hit the thumbs up, and if you haven't yet, do subscribe to this channel. Let's get those numbers up real high, folks. And also, don't forget, physical media format is ending here soon in June. Do check that out. It's a 3-part episode. And also, do check out my Jake Estrada 2-part interview. It's up and running as well, folks. Alright, folks, that's all the time I got here on the Movie Dog Show. Again, thanks for watching. And please, keep on watching, folks. Bye.
At first, all Loudon Swain could think of was getting in shape.
Calories a shot, by the way.
But give the guy a break. When you're in love, you can do